For this example, I'm going to use an airfoil. In order to generate a 2D mesh, you will always have to generate a 3D mesh first. StarCCM Plus is a 3D mesher which allows you to convert afterwards, but you cannot generate a 2D mesh from the start. I have already generated this 3D mesh, and I have used the surface remesher, the trimmer, and the prism layer mesher. You can see I added a far-field domain. It is essentially a disk. It has some thickness because it is a 3D model. Now this model can already be set up as pseudo 2D by setting this plane and this plane as symmetry planes. I say it is pseudo 2D because you are not including 3D effects that a wing has, such as wing tip flows. The geometry that is used in the 2D mesh is that which lies along the plane of z equals 0. So you need to ensure that some of your 3D mesh exists in that plane. I'm going to probe the location of this plane in space by mousing over cells and hitting the period key. And if I check my output window, looks like the z-coordinate is 0, which means I am lined up with the z equals 0 plane. If I wasn't, all I would have to do is go to the boundary, right-click on it, and select Project to Plane. That option allows me to define the direction of the plane using normals, so my normal will be in the z direction. And the distance option is the distance of that plane from the origin of the laboratory coordinate system. In this case, I want to line up with z equals 0, so I would leave my distance as 0, so I would line up with the origin. Now that I've ensured that my geometry exists on the plane of z equals 0, I can go ahead and convert to 2D. Go to the Mesh drop-down menu and select Convert to 2D. You have the option of picking which regions you want to convert to 2D. There's also a tolerance value in case your geometry does not line up exactly with the z equals 0 plane. Selecting OK will initiate the process of conversion. And you'll see that an additional region is generated and also an additional physics continua is generated. To see this other 2D region, I need to change the parts in my geometry displayer for my scene. If I select the 2D body instead of the 1D body, the 3D body, now we see our 2D mesh, a single plane. The 2D physics continua has all of the same physics models as my 3D physics continua, except that the 3D has been changed to 2D. If you need to make changes in your 2D mesh, you will have to go back to your original 3D mesh, make those changes, whether it be refinements or coarsening or volumetric controls or anything else, recreate the 3D mesh, and then generate a new 2D mesh from that 3D mesh. One thing to note, if you do have to go through that process, is that any post-processing you have set up will not automatically update to the new 2D region. You will have to manually change the input parts for any of your reports or scenes with the boundaries associated with the new 2D region.